all the post
Post-production.
post-production stuff.
That kind of hits on my first point, and I'm glad you raised it, which is you need to be, and people need to be very careful and really think through what it is you're asking for and present that in a way that doesn't lead to confusion. And I'll give you an example. So to talk about your situation, be upfront. We've made the record. It's cost me this. But if people believe in you and you've got a nice, big and growing audience, you're wonderful at what you do, then you're going to make the point that, look, we've made this record so that it can reach as big an audience as possible, so that it can help me further my career in the way that I want it to. It's quite weird. I'm talking to a frozen picture of you here quite often.
Sorry. I could turn my video off of that.
No, it's fine. You're back now.
Hopefully I'm not making a weird face.
Who support you, you're going to make a very specific case that hiring a publicist and or a promoter is going to get your music to a bigger audience, and that's really valuable. And without their help, you will not be able to do this. And that's I think that has every chance, because the amount won't be huge. It'll be a few thousand, and you're not asking for everything. It's like, you're not sort of saying, "Hi, I'm Zach. I'm really good at the piano. I need 15 grand or maybe 25 grand, actually maybe 30 grand if I want to hire the guy to get me a Grammy nomination." So you're doing this very feasible, achievable amount. And one of the things that I see some campaigns fall down on, and again, I'm no expert, but I just want to share what I see, and is you've got to be very clear with your audience and your potential audience. What you can't say is, "I need the money to make a record," and then the video is of you in the studio with some pretty good sounding audio of the record, and then they're kind of like, "Well, what do you need me for? You've already made it." And asking for money retrospectively is tricky, and we do get it. But if that is the way around, then you need to sort of say, "We've done this part of the recording process, but I need help for mixing and mastering, or I need help for CD production or promotion," or whatever it is. But people will be turned off, and I've seen this. It's kind of like, "I need 10 grand to make a record," and then you've got this beautiful glossy video and great sounding audio of something that's already made. They're kind of, "Why do you need me?" So I think with your case, definitely say that, and I think that has every chance of succeeding. Is that, especially, like, I'm a big supporter of yours. I think you're an amazing musician. I definitely, because I worked at a radio station and I'm a performer and recording artist myself, the difference between it's a big old what's the word? If you want your music to kind of get noticed, there's so much new music being released, and unfortunately, without a publicity or promoter for artists of our stature, there's every chance that it sits on Spotify for the next couple of years and gets kind of 46 monthly listeners, and that's all it does. And you want help getting it to a bigger audience. So I think that's great. That's great. Talking of audience, so my second big point is, and this is a bit more general, but you've got to do a lot of research before you launch your campaign. Who is going to help me? Like, specific people. Make a list of 20, 30, 40 people. And that can include your mum, your girlfriend, your best friend, the dog, whatever. But you've got to tailor your rewards to the people that you think might help you. So, for example, my last campaign was in Florida, and I'm reasonably well known in the scene down here in Tampa Bay. And my demographic that have disposable income and who are going to support me are probably who did support me, between 35, 40, and 80. And they like CDs. And so I offer them CDs. And that was by far the most popular reward, is CD.
Yeah.
If I'm in LA and I'm trying to find, neither you or I, but if we're in our mid-20s, and it's, again, we're kind of reaching out to people who are our kind of demographic in our mid-20s. I doubt many people in that. I mean, some do, and there's some evidence that CDs are coming back a bit. Certainly people want souvenirs of gigs and that kind of thing. But you're probably not going to feature the CD quite so highly. So you've got to know your audience, and you've got to say to yourself, for example, a handful of people who I work with at the radio station down here, who are presidents of the jazz associations and jazz clubs, and they're friends and they're big supporters, and they're in their 60s and they've got disposable income, And I sat down one afternoon, what does Steve Splain, Mike Cornett, Bob Seymour, these are all
right.
What do they want to help me? What can I offer them? Don't offer them. So I offer things like you know, like half a day in the studio and like I said, CD, signed CDs, a thank you note from the band. And honestly, some people just want to help. And it's the biggest thing that I'm going to say, and you're good at this, you're a very personable guy. It's the relationships as everything in life. But if you're, and you know, I think some jazz musicians are, I mean, all the ones I meet are just lovely, but I think some folks are sort of a bit shy, and some folks are maybe not as outgoing as you and I are on gigs in terms of engaging with the audience and that kind of thing. I think those folks might be incredible players, but I think it's going to be, this might not be the solution for them. This is a bit more of a general point, but I've got to sit down before you and write down a list of 50 people who you think like your music, like you, and will be in a position to contribute. And I think that's tailoring your awards in accordance with that. And what's really, again, really important is do your research. I did this in 2014, 2017, and 2024. That's quite a big chunk of time, isn't it? It's kind of weird how it hasn't changed. But but I did go through my colleagues, and so I didn't check Christian McBride's one. I think I'm sure he didn't have one, but you know, I didn't check someone who was 20 just out of college, so someone who's kind of mid-career, you know, like myself. And I just went through and saw what they did and saw what was successful, and did some research based on that. Like, okay, that's working. They got this kind of raw, got 25 backers. This one looks like it got almost none. So you got to copy and paste, and then but in accordance with the people that you're trying to reach out to.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense.
Next up, what was my next point?
Well, a quick question, because it's been a minute since I've been on Kickstarter. Can you go back and look at past campaigns that are over already?
You can look at, you can look at pretty much anything. You can look at your old campaign. You can look at, I mean, Monica Herzig, she has this called Joni Mitchell, piano player, works with Alexis Cole on this Joni Mitchell project, and I know Monica, and so I kind of just had a very careful look at what she did. So you can see all previous campaigns, you can see your previous ones. Yeah, absolutely, that's not an issue. You've got to play the game a bit, and the game is this. There's two parts of the game. Kickstarter will help you out, and their algorithms will jump on you. Sounds a bit daunting, but if you get off to a good start, Kickstarter will help you out because they want to put up the search list, the algorithm list, whatever, the ones they think they have a chance of succeeding. So within the first half day, do it organically, day and a half, 2 days, line up your mum, your wife, your girlfriend, the cat, you know, and just get, it doesn't need to be a big amount, but I mean, honestly, there's a couple of friends, I said, look, I'll give you $20. Can you just
just do it? Yeah, like I'll pay for part of it. Yeah.
Just do it. I mean, and then typically they would, you know, they'd be like, no, we'll help out, but you
they'll be like, no, give me $30 and I'll do it for 20.
Well, whatever it kind of needs. What was I going to say? So yeah, because the ones you see, if you put jazz as a search term into Kickstarter, and you'll see the ones near the top are the ones that I think have got a good, have got a good chance and are well thought through. And it's a little bit, it sort of makes you feel a bit sad. You see some lower down, and it's been a week and a half, and there's 5 backers, and they're at 7% of their total. That's not really, Kickstarter aren't going to push that, and frankly, that's going to have very little chance of succeeding, unfortunately.
Right.
So you've got your friends and your family giving it a good start, or or a supporter, philanthropist, and then frankly, you're going to set up a different profile name for yourself, and you're going to put your own money in, and when it needs a nudge, you're going to give it a nudge, and you can reduce that amount. So, it's a 30-day kind of thing. I really, I like the 30 days. I think the longer ones for me don't work. Firstly, because it's really stressful. Like
Yeah.
you know, like you know, like I'm logging in 15 times a day. Like, please, someone support or like
Yeah.
person, you know. So I hate the idea of it dragging on. And I think if it's a 6-month thing, forget it, because people be like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll get back to that. No, if it's 30 days, it focuses them.
Yeah.
So you've got to play the game with your money, which is, and again, it sounds like what you're going for is very achievable. You'll probably be looking for what, 3, 4, 5 grand?
Yeah, I was thinking probably 5 at the most. I mean, it'll be
Yeah,
great. Like, part of me is like, I want it to succeed, so I'm fine to get like anything is better than nothing because I'm gonna end up paying for it. Like if I want it to happen, I'm gonna pay for it anyways. But if I can, so it's like $3,000 would be better than nothing. If I could get 5, that would be great because that would cover probably everything or most of everything. But if I can just cover part of the stuff, that'd be great. So yeah, I was thinking between 3 and 5.
and I think that's a really good amount, really, really crucial. Obviously, and give you all the secrets here. You said I'm going to probably do it anyway. You obviously must convey the opposite of that. But
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, like, I don't want to be greedy as far as like, well, no, 5 grand is great, but 15 is even better, So
yeah, yeah,
that's,
and also, again, look at the resources. I mean, if of your friends and followers and supporters. I mean, Florida here, there's there's some kind of really nice people who, I mean, for example, the lady who she doesn't, I don't think, oh, maybe she does. Anyway, she I won't give her name away. She runs a record label down here that's got actually New York people, and she's great. And try and have someone in mind who you think might give a decent amount, a grand or $500 or something.
Mhm.
Because you'll find in all 3 campaigns I've done, I've had I guess supporters of mine who have given like 2 grand.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Holy cow.
yeah. That again, that's relationships. I mean, there's who might be listening. There's a dear friend of ours from the UK, and I met this guy in a bar, and it was like 3
Hmm.
days before my first campaign finished, and I was still about 75% of the way off. And this is actually quite insightful because and I met this guy in a bar. He had a couple of beers, super nice guy, but he loved jazz. And he said, "What are you up to?" I said, "I'm a jazz piano player." So, well, I've actually got this thing, this Kickstarter thing. And I showed him my phone. So this sounds great. Oh, I'll check it out. He lived locally. We had another beer. I drove home, so just 1.5 beers. And by the time I got home, he got me over the line. He put about 1,000 in, and then the next record.
Wow.
Then we developed a relationship where he was always at the gigs. I'd always make a fuss of him. I called him, like he got an executive producer credit on the next album, and he put £2,000 in.
Wow. Yeah.
But I dedicated tracks to him on the record. I dedicated tracks to him. So on the CD liner notes, which is quite, I still like physical products because you can actually make a point of. And on the new record too, I've basically said. Track 1 is for Chick Corea, track 2 is for Chuck Owen, track 3 is for my supporters, and it's pretty big. Like you want to give. We don't have money to be able to offer people. You want to give them something that is meaningful to them, that makes them feel good. And
Right.
dedicating a track, and I also send them the sheet music, and my compositions are quite detailed, and so it's like a 7, 8 page score, 20 page score sometimes, and
Hmm.
I'll sign it, and I'll put. Closer to the Sky, the piece composed by me and the lyrics by Ona Kay. And at the top, I'll put dedicated to. So one of your supporters, and that's meaningful to them, and that's great. So with
Yeah. It's
this
cool.
UK guy, I just found these ways of rewarding him, and then he would financially supported me a lot. And we couldn't have made the 2 records without him, I don't think. So it's those relationships. Coming back to your second account, so you've got Zach Bartholomew, then you're going to have this slightly sort of secretive second account, and you're going
Hmm.
to put your money in, so keep some disposable income, and hopefully it won't be above a few hundred. But people don't know who's putting money in and out. And last time I had no money, and my mum did it, and so she put 1,000 in. But then as we got nearer, I said, "Mum, reduce it," because I was going to give her the 1,000.
Hmm.
I can't quite remember. It doesn't need to go into the details of that. But if it's you, because it will do this, the campaign. Hopefully a strong start. The last 3 or 4 days are crucial. The midway point is depressing. You'll be lying and crying in bed all morning. Oh my God, man, it's not gonna work. You know, because the midway point is really challenging. But you're going to give it a boost with your money, which you can then reduce and still not make the total look like it's coming down if you're smart, because you can keep an eye on it. People put money in, you can take a bit out. So someone puts $100 in, you can take 50 off your contribution. It's still
Okay, I see.
campaign's gone up. Yeah, so I was playing that game all the time, like tweaking it a lot. I hope Kickstarter don't mind me saying that. I'm sure people do that.
I'm sure, yeah.
And because again, people, you know, like with social media posts, if something's got 1 like after 3 hours, people don't. But if something's got 200 likes, then people like being part of something that everyone else is doing. Unfortunately, it's
right. Yeah.
people like being part of success, and if they see it going up, they'll contribute. If they see it stagnant for days on end, they'll be like, "Oh, probably not going to bother."
Right.
So yeah, I've done a lot of talking. The coffee's kicked in. They're my main takeaways. Have you got any more specifics with yours?
Yeah, this stuff is great. I mean, some of the stuff I thought about, like I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do this. Like I sort of luckily I didn't have to on the first one, but I think we asked for like $1,500. It was like not very much, and there were 3 of us, so it was like it was pretty easy to do because it just wasn't that much money. But I was thinking like, oh, I guess I could always give, I'll Venmo, somebody $50 and just have them do it for me. But I didn't think about creating my own account, like a separate account, and then doing that and like kind of taking it in and out just to get like what you said, like hits or likes or, get the algorithm moving.
Yeah.
So that's super helpful. And then, like coming up with a list is super helpful too. Like, okay, did you reach out to these people before you did the campaign? Like,
oh yeah,
hey,
yeah,
like next week I'm going to start this. Like, would you mind, like I'm trying to get kind of a core group. Like I'll even Venmo you money if you want, like $20 and you can get this. Or did you like reach out to like
the
a
first
group of people?
4 or 5, I primed them. I prepped them beforehand, absolutely. But then, so you've hit on something really important. So there's my list of 4 or 5 people to get off to a good start, and just your best mate, whatever. And then there's your list of 40 or 50 people who you think would be like your music, and are in a position to contribute. And right, so you've got your MailChimp, you've got your email newsletter, you've got social media.
Yeah.
Those folks, you're going to spend hours and hours and hours, and you've got to email them or Facebook message them if that's what they prefer. Try and figure out the best way. My audience is the people I was reaching out to, ex-teachers, and they're sort of in their 40s, 50s, 60s. So, and you've got to ask them, and that's something that I'm not American, I'm English. I was not comfortable with.
No, not me neither.
It's very hard, but ex-teachers, and you're asking, and they don't all say yes, and that's okay. And so if they don't, I have zero. It's no issue at all, but you've got to ask, and you've got to make it easy for them. And yeah, you send a lot of emails and a lot of messages, and I would line up those people, but you can do that when it started. But you're just asking for money. But if it's ex-teachers and colleagues and members of boards of jazz associations, they know how hard it is for us because they deal with us all the time. I mean, I had amazing gig last week for the Sarasota Jazz Club. We sold 500 tickets, and this is just useful for you and our colleagues. And I've got a new album coming out, as you know, and the fee was okay because it was kind of like a free concert for some of the members of the art museum. So the fee wasn't great, and I took her an amazing band. I said, just want to check, will the museum allow us to sell CDs? Allow me to sell CDs? Because I'm not making a huge amount on this. And she said, they've said no up to this point. So I put, rather than ignoring it or being, oh God's sake, I explained. I said, look, the new album cost me 10 grand to make, about, we sell it for $20, and I gave all just sort of the reality, Zach, of what it. It's like you're asleep. It's really funny. The reality of the reality of, unless you're independently wealthy, the reality that you and I and all our colleagues and hopefully everyone watching know about. And I said, and I'm trying to make another 3 grand for a record promoter. So the friend from the jazz club copied and pasted what I wrote. It was 3 or 4 bullet points. She sent it to the art gallery. She got an email back saying, no problem, he can sell CDs. And that's changed it for everyone moving forward. They've had 3 years where no one's allowed to sell merchandise, and now they are. You
Oh, it's
just
great.
convey to people how it is. And then my emails to my colleagues and my friends and supporters, you don't want it to be a sob story, but
Right.
you convey that without their help, this is not going to happen. And for you and I, as we're not independently wealthy,
Right.
it's not going to happen. I raised 10 grand 3 times on Kickstarter. It was a lot of work. I'm very proud of it, but my
Yeah.
career would be years behind if I had not made these records. Or I made like a less good record, you know, which wouldn't get on the radio,
Right.
it wouldn't sound as good, and it wouldn't be my really like heavily involved compositions which go on forever. It'd be just like Stella by Starlight, which is fine. But you know, so
Right.
it's, you've got to make that point, and you've got to make it without people feeling sorry for you, and you've got to make it positive. And that in
Right.
emails is really tricky. That's really tricky. I found that hard, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I might. Yeah. I'll probably, what I'll do is I'll probably go find your Kickstarter campaign to see kind of what you did. But did you
I'm happy
so
to.
you know, sending emails and stuff, did you make like a bunch of social media videos, like, you know, hey, like, or like as far as when you're pitching basically the idea? Because I'm trying to remember what we did. I think we did like a whole video, but that's when I had a lot more time. I mean, I think I'll just have to find the time to do it. But as far as like you know, social media stuff or what you sent people in an email, was it like, you know, hi, my name's Simon Lasky and I'm, you know, here's my project? Or was it this like really nice video of like you playing piano and like hearing the album in the background and pictures and like, you know, quotes and stuff, and it's like, we need your help? Or was it just more like, yeah, I don't know, I'm just curious, like
Yeah.
what you know, as far as the material you used?
Two things on that. As you know, social media, Facebook in particular, is going to hide. If you and I put concert tonight, 10 tickets, $50, here's the link, or Kickstarter
Yeah.
project, you know, Facebook's going to hide that because they want the people to stay on the platform. So that's the endless conundrum. So, you know, yeah, you're going to do images. You can do. I would put your energy mostly into. I mean, I put your energy mostly into the people you think might support you, and I would say I
Hmm.
probably did more of that than the Facebook stuff. I mean, yeah, I did design little posters like 10 days to go, 30% of the goal reach, whatever it was.
Hmm.
And just make this point that's really important, which is that obviously the video which sits on the Kickstarter site, that's really important. And Kickstarter, oh yeah, Kickstarter want to see that you've conformed to their guidelines, and just go and do a ton of research, what videos work, what don't. And for God's sake, make Kickstarter happy, manage that relationship, do the things. They've got advice on their website, and their advice is useful. Do what they say. If they say don't put, I can't remember, but just do what they
Hmm.
say, because you want them to be on your side to kind of push it up the algorithms. So
Okay.
um but I didn't do a lot of Facebook social media because I didn't find it very successful. I didn't
Yeah,
find
I don't think so
it.
either, really.
It's like, you know, I know you do a lot of videos and you sit there and then it doesn't really reach many people. But then in the meantime, this guy who you met at a club 15 years ago, like the jazz club, and you remembered he really liked Matheny, so he's gonna like my stuff. And I found him and reached out to him, and it's the individual thing, I think. I mean, you're gonna do social media on it because you have to, but
Right.
I would put more emphasis on the individual. And so yeah, you're gonna make life easy for them. This old lady, elderly lady from down here who did give me a lot, you know, you've got to make the link. So you're gonna, dear Zach, you know, I hope you might be interested in this following project because you've been a big supporter of mine. You've been so influential in my career. Here's the link to the project. That's Kickstarter. And they're going to see the video and the rewards. And then you might do a second one. If you'd like to pre-order a CD, here's the link to that particular reward.
Hmm.
And I think that's probably how I'd go about that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Um,
Um, what was I going to ask? As far as well, I guess, yeah, I'll probably get the answer by looking at it. But are there certain, like you said, there were certain rewards that you found, like, kind of more helpful, or like this tier, like this much money or this reward. I think when I
Yeah,
was doing it too, like the thing I found was, the CD was the cheapest one is just like, you give whatever and it's just for fun. And then like probably MP3, here's a free download, and then a CD. And then I don't know if you did LPs or something too, or here's a
yeah,
signed CD or.
yeah. So I did, I mean, I hate MP3 sound crap, so I just didn't offer that. But I would definitely, I think I've got WAVs, WAV file. We call them WAVs. I think you call them WAV files. So
Yeah.
don't offer them something that's not very good, and MP3s
Yeah.
aren't good. And then CDs was the big one. So yeah, like you go into mine, but CDs, then signed CDs. And then I did like a thank you note from the band. I'm not really sure if,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not going to do, I mean, like whatever, go around to all my bandmates, I don't know if that means anything to many people. And then, and then definitely a bundle of CDs. So this is my third. So people like that. So maybe if they're a new supporter, they can get all three. And then all three
Oh, that's good.
signed. Yeah. And then sheet music, actually. People really like that. That was
Oh,
really,
really? Okay.
yeah, yeah. So a PDF, you can sign it, or so what you do, this is nice. Once the album is out, they can choose their favorite track, and at least that that means they're gonna. And some are from fellow musicians who want to see what I was writing. Others, might be amateur piano players. My cousin in Dubai is a really good piano player, but he's just kind of. So actually, the sheet music has quite a thing. People,
Okay.
people is all like for local people. I mean, I think if I was a jazz fan, which I am, but like if you're recording a record, I'm not a professional, and you're going in a cool studio. So my biggest supporter here, he came into the studio for the morning, and I think that is the awesome, because you're like, no one else comes in, no one else is going to hear this. You're letting them into this kind of inner sanctum, and it's like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that. So I think, I mean, my mum did that in London, and my supporter in London, whose name I don't want to say just because
Yeah, yeah.
otherwise everyone's going to message him, hey, can I have some money? uh,
Right.
so and they're hanging out. So they're hanging out in the control room with the engineer, and again, I think that's a lovely thing to be able to offer someone.
That's very cool. Yeah.
It's cool and it's unique, and I mean, imagine going to watch Keith Jarrett record or whatever. I mean, he obviously, so
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing.
And then there's some stuff that people just, I mean, honestly, there's another one which is like a Zoom meeting halfway through the production to talk about the production. And a couple of people took that and gave me like $300, and then I emailed all four of them, and they're like, "Don't worry, it's not very
Right.
technical. Like, I'm going to listen to you talk to the producer. I mean, there probably is a way of making that cool, but people like, don't worry about it. We're happy to help. Some people don't even want rewards; they just want to help, and you've got to find those people. And I
Yeah.
know you'll have between 50 and 100 people who will do that. I know you will. But it's going to be a
I
lot
hope
of
so.
work, and keep the calendar clear for that month.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm trying to think of, since I've already recorded it, I wouldn't be able to do like you can be in the studio unless it's like you can be in the studio for the next album or something. But I don't know how that would really work.
That
Um,
yeah, you got to be really careful with that, because
yeah.
you you're going to reach out to someone in 2 or 3. That doesn't really work.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that I'd have to
Uh,
figure out something else if it's like post
um,
production. I mean,
have
something
you
I
got
did before was like maybe do a concert, like a house concert or something, if they want to
house
pay.
concert? Yeah. I never find that really. I think that works for some people. Do you rehearse with your band?
Some.
Let them into a rehearsal. Or if there's a concert that's local, offer them a free ticket. So I offered free tickets to my album launch, and then
Hmm.
at the sound check and the rehearsal, let them into that bit, because that's cool and no one gets to see that. So let them into something that other people don't get.
Right. Like you get a free, yeah, you get like a free ticket to the album release show and like can be part of sound check or something.
And be part of the sound check. I think people, I mean, they love that. My mum loves coming to that. I've got my doctor friend who supports me comes to that, and that's great. It's so cool.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, don't offer something that may or may not happen in a year. The other thing is, like,
Right.
my project, we did it. We fundraised in November 2022, and I promised it to them in late summer 2023. We're now in February 2024, and the CDs are going out this week. And
Hmm.
was delayed. I had a finger injury, which I think I told you about. Had
Yeah.
surgery on my thumb. life happens, so we delayed stuff, and it, you know, it's an ambitious album, and it's you've got to communicate that with them. Otherwise, you get on Facebook later tonight, where's my CD? I paid for it. So you've got to. I'm always trying to get the balance, but you don't want to bother people too much. And I hate endless. I don't want endless updates on anything really. But you do have to be honest and keep. And I actually sent a picture of my thumb after the surgery, which was
wow.
So that's weird. What's just happened?
Oh yeah, wow, you got a thumbs up.
What does that mean?
We're like two old guys.
See that, like the Zoom
Yeah.
app, like giving.
Yeah, it's some stupid update.
Freaking me out. Hey man, I am because I don't pay for Zoom. I'm going to wrap quite soon. Any other questions before and we can catch up on the phone another time. But
yeah, no, this was helpful. I mean, I kind of just want to pick your brain about it a little bit. I think I can answer a lot of my questions just looking at like going and doing some research, but I haven't done it yet. As far as when you made the video, did you do like a lot of, do you do video editing stuff? Was it like super fancy, or was it just like, super simple, like you just talking about it?
I do very basic video editing. I'm not very good at it. I've got a young guy here who helped me, and I pay him like $15 an hour. So I invested in that. Nice. He he's a young guy. He's just good at all the stuff I'm not good at. He came around with a good camera, and we did like and he edited it. Probably cost me like $60-70.
Yeah, that's great. That's super worth it.
That video is the most important thing.
Okay. Yeah, and how long should it be ish?
Again, have a look at mine. I did 3 minutes. I usually go around, it's tempting to go for 4 or 5. I know I've been to your concerts, you like talking a lot. Don't go much above 3. And then what's interesting is you can see obviously the average view time, and I think one of them I did was 4 or 5 once, and like no one's watching by the end, so
I think 3 minutes is probably good.
And have a bullet list of I want to make these points in this order. Again, just copy mine, man. I'm more than I want people, I think it's so challenging for all of us right now, this kind of streaming era, these kind of little pennies and fractions of pennies that come in. We've got to find a way of making it viable, and I think building an audience in this. Another thing is you get email addresses. So with their permission, I've actually kind of added some people who found me on Kickstarter, and I've added them to, we've got to go soon. I've added them to my MailChimp because, so, it's like, you just got to make it work for you. Hey man, great to see you.
Likewise, man. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. If there's anything else, just give me a call and we'll
all right.